Okay. So, Prof, Assalamualaikum. We'll start, ya, Prof. Assalamualaikum warahmatullah. Good morning to everyone who's joining today, to the professors, associate professors, Dr. Tuan, Mr., Mrs., and all who are watching either in Google Meet, Facebook, YouTube as well. Because I was told that by our colleague this morning that this talk will also be streamed live in Facebook and also YouTube. And I would like to thank you for the extra effort. Again, thank you everyone for joining the morning program, which will be more on a sharing session by our respected speaker, Prof. Muhammad Lutfor Rahman, in which we will be introducing about him later on. Okay, but first talking about our session today. This talk is organized by FSSA or Faculty Sumber Science and Sumber Alam, as an effort to enhance and to improve research and innovation scenery in FSSA specifically, and also in UMS in general, or from wherever you are from. Okay, and also IDP CPD points will be given to UMS staff, of course, and the link will be provided towards the end of the talk. Let me admit everyone first in. So first of all, I would like to introduce myself. Of course, I'm Dr. Hafiz from Industrial Chemistry Program, the same program of with Prof. Lutfor. I'll be moderating this talk session today. So nice to meet you all. I'm moving to the outline of the talk today. We'll start with a brief introduction on our speaker, of course, and then to the main event, which will be sharing, which will be on the sharing session on how to write a good article for high impact journal. Tips will be given by our respected speaker. I hope more will be given, Prof. Hopefully. Then we go straight to the question and answer, of course. After that, sorry. So before the talk, before we start the talk, maybe I would like to apologize first for technical problems that we might encounter during the talk, and I hope you understand with all the internet hiccups and also the connection problems that always occur. I hope you understand that one, and also feel free to mention when such occurs, maybe in the chat or maybe go straight to the microphone. Now let's introduce our speaker today. Okay, Prof. We have with us Prof. Dr. Muhammad Lutfor Rahman. He received his degree and also master in chemistry from Universiti of Rajshahi, Bangladesh. Is that true? Is that correct pronunciation, Prof?
Yes.
Okay, later he obtained PhD in polymer chemistry from Universiti Putra Malaysia in 2000. That was 21 years ago, and he moved to University Malaysia Pahang as an associate professor. Okay, in 2010. Okay, so 6 years after that, in 2016, he again moved to University Malaysia Sabah as a professor this time. He has wide-ranging research interests. For example, sustainable green chemistry. I need a big breath for this one, Prof. Again, sustainable green chemistry, molecular catalysis and applications. We have molecular imprinted polymers or MIPs, and also the applications. And then we have molecular electronics of liquid crystal polymers and also synthesis of nanomaterials. And currently, Prof. is a professor in industrial chemistry program. And last time I checked, he published more than 100 high impact factor journals, articles, and secured higher sum of grants as well. So we are honored to have him as our guest speaker today to share with us his experience and also his knowledge towards reaching his stats that he has today. I think so. Without wasting any more time, I would like to pass the talk to Prof. Muhammad Lutfor. Please, Prof. Everything is yours. You can continue. Prof, can you hear me?
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Hafiz.
Okay.
I want to start now. Assalamualaikum, everybody. Good morning. So, as you know, this is the talk about the writing a good scientific papers. As long as we need some quality papers for the university improvement, because I think everybody are agree without good scientific paper cannot be a citation cannot be what you call good ranking, because these good quality papers, good report is important for improvement of the university. Also, staff own career. So actually, I have some tips and some discussion. I can give you some information last 20 years for my publication. So what happening, and there are some tips also how to manage the editors and reviewers, because as you know, the problem is last time, I mean the 20 years back when I was a student, that time publication Q1 paper also not very hard that time. Maybe the quantity of submission is not similar to like us now. Then another thing is the day by day the improvement, the doing some initial assessment. I think everybody know this one except the student. I think staff everybody know about the assessment initial, because when you submit the papers, there is a committee of the journal committee. Actually, first time they read a, small size, maybe from only abstract, introduction, and they see the formatting. I mean the uh, quantity of papers, the experimental result, scientific, what the stage of this work. Actually, after that they goes for review. Before that, actually, all of papers nowadays not go for review, because reviewer is some difficulties to get. For the reason their initial screening or assessment, if not passed, the paper will reject. This one actually easily can manage it. If you write a good way, good scientific way, standard format, maybe initial assessment we can manage it. Once initial assessment managed, when you send paper for review, reviewer actually suddenly they don't want to reject, they don't want to down you. They give you suggestion to improve these papers actually. There is where I have some tips for you, maybe a bit uh, improve or what we call writing a scientific paper. But so far, I know there is a professional writer here, professional publication, but there are some students, they need some help or improve this paper. I think we have a lot of graduate students, they're doing master's, PhD, they're afraid about the writing the papers and publication. They need some actually the motivation. They need actually motivation. So far, I understand from last 5 years when I came here second time. So many students they have a good uh, result also, good experimental result, but problem of the writing. For the reason we arrange some time to time about this, some motivation presentation like that. So I want to go for now the my content actually. Actually, there is a presentation contain two parts: writing high quality scientific papers, or secondly, the selection of suitable journal for submission. Because if we write something and suitable journal also need to select. That's one I will talk later after finish some technical part. Okay. There are some suggestion I have. There is a 15 suggestions, but so far everybody I think know. I also know from internet source. So many tips suggestion we have. So from them I actually collect there some important token about 15 something like that. But many tips surrounding we have. There is a link there. There are many actually tips here. I just take some uh, important one actually. You see the number one, the some tips here. You know your audience and write for that specific audience community. Because sometimes they, especially staff, academician, they have some community because after conference when become a scientific community members, then many people surrounding you, because similar what they are doing to other side. So you know them, what kind of papers they are published and what kind of standard they are maintaining. According to your audience, scientific papers, technical writing is a never general purpose, but written for a specific audience, that is the community who read a particular journal or subject. Sometimes there are some community or society, they have their own papers. They, like our liquid crystal society, we have a two specific paper name is liquid crystal. So all the paper come from liquid crystal side. No other paper is entered. So then standard, actually we know that what is standard there we are maintaining. So you must adopt the style and level of writing that is appropriate for your audience. Anyway, number two, I just drink water. Sorry. Sorry for interrupt. So number two, actually, tips here: do not turn in a first draft, because ever most people first draft are trivial. Good writing is a rewriting, and you should make a serious effort at editing, rewriting, fine tuning before you give them a script to anyone used to read. Meaning we have to must make a first draft. Also, it is terrible or not so very good, but we have to refining, rewriting, revising. Many things have to done actually. Sometimes revising more than 5 times also need for actually fine tuning. So three is here: avoiding abusing word forms. Use word in the form that convey your meaning as clearly, simply as possible. Because the in the scientific world, we don't want to make complex with the word. I mean, the difficult word we do not use, because scientific term also uh, we want to convey, we want to convince or explain very easy way. So does not mean this sentence make difficulties is a good paper, not like that actually. To make as long as easy, that is the more good process. For example, the low rate of encounters was a reflection of population density reductions, versus the low rate of encounters reflect a reduced population density. Actually, two sentences are correct, two sentences are okay, but second one is the easiest way. The low rate of encounters reflect a reduced population density. But in the other way, you can write something is make complex. Complex we don't want to make actually. Then there are some difficulties is come. We don't want to make any difficulties about the language. Then do not use more words than fewer will do. Do not use long words where short ones will do. Because some example, the utilization, you can use. In order to, we can write you to. Do not use a special word to make your written seems more technical, scientific, or academic. We don't want to make any difficult word to make a difficult meaning. So as long as you use simple word, it is a good for writing. Then use an outline to organize your idea in writing. When you first start writing your project, make an outline of the major headings. So this is the key idea to be covered under each headings. Organize your thinking logic and the logic of your argument at this level. The big project we actually make outline first. What we want to write. This is the some way to systematic writing. Then think about the structure of paragraphs. Though most students can write reasonable sentences, a surprising number have difficult organizing sentences into effective paragraphs. The effective paragraph means they like a introduction. You have a 3-4 actually part there, because in the introduction you have motivation first, then objective, then there are some methodology discussion, then there are some output or some what you call the result or your result what you've done. So their paragraph actually make 4 or 5 paragraphs. Heading should be only one paragraph discussing the same topics. When we start second paragraph, then different topics, meaning maybe objective to turn methods, then 2 paragraphs should be different. A paragraph should begin with a topic sentence that set the stage clearly for what will follow. Makes topic sentence short and direct. Pay attention to tenses. This is also important because problem of inappropriate or inconsistent tenses are common in student writing. This is the important also tenses because when first time when submit our papers, actually journal peoples, they have a initial evaluation committee. They actually see the English quality also, not only the technical part. Technical part, they also see some bit, actually 10%, 20%, but mostly they see the English writing tenses and formatting. So we can make something appropriate tenses must be necessary for good paper. It is actually essential requirements. What you others did in the past should be stated in the past tense. For example, data were collected. Event or object that continue to happen or exist can be described in the present tense. For example, in this paper, I examine. Whatever tense you choose, be consistent. Be careful in using might, may, and would. They are frequently used as way of whistling out of making a clear statement. So actually, might, may, would, actually it is not suitable for scientific paper because there is no doubtful anything there actually, scientific. So we usually, I never use may, might, I never use any papers. There's something confusing actually word. Anyway, then we go for next. Captions should be not merely name a table or figures, they should be explained how to read it. Because in the table and figure have a captions, they are not looks like a caption 1, caption 2, not like that. So we have to write a sufficient information so that a reader can understand a table or figure in the most cases without reference to the text. Very simple tables and figure may require only a title for clarity. An exceptionally complex one may require reference to the text for explanation. Maybe if your table and figure is very simple, then only one sentence should be okay. But sometimes complex one, you have to require some other reference or footnote of the table. There are some way, but table must be clear and simple. So other information we can make a footnote or we put in the supporting information if it is complex table and figure. Do not leave caption writing to the end of the project because sometimes we leave the just figure and later writing. Actually not like that because you caption you have to finish as long as before writing and section. Then it will be when writing a result that will be good because when you see the figure caption, something idea will become easy. So when citing a reference, focus on the idea, not the authors. So because the when you're writing, especially the introduction and result discussion, we using citation, other people other reference actually. That are actually we emphasis on authors what the statement there, not actually author. There are some cases we actually can make a name, but is not likely mentioned every time the author's name. Like that, unless the person who reported a result in an important point in a statement, literature citation should be parenthetical rather than in the body of the sentence. Like this. For example, growth rates of more than 80 centimeters are common in population in Alberta. The bracket marks 1982. This is the reference. Mark actually written this one. Rather than mark 1982 found growth rates of more than 80% centimeter to be common in population alert. Actually, we make what the sentence, the statement, we basis on the statement. In some cases, we can make author name if there are some special statement or idea or novelty. If sometimes someone actually it is a pioneer of this equation, then we make name actually. Commonly, do not make name. Show us, do not tell us. Because rather than telling the reader that the result is interesting or significant, show them how it is interesting or significant. For instance, rather than the larger difference in mean size between population C and population D is particularly interesting. So simply we do not write interesting or significant. Why significant, why interesting must be a sentence is there. Write about your result, not your tables, figures, and statistics. When preparing to write your result, decide on the elements of the story you want to wish to tell, then choose the subject of text, figures, and tables that most effectively and concisely convey your message. Then 12, introduction and conclusion are the hardest part because this part have to be think there are some part actually introduction. You see, many technical writers prefer to write their introduction last because it is too difficult to craft the balance of general context and specific focus required for a good introduction. So many of them people actually they write introduction is later. Then there are some cases if you have an expert on this field, maybe you can write because you know the introduction what should be there, then should be okay. But most of the writers write this later. So if you need to write the introduction first to set the stage for your own thinking, this is the temptation to the perfect it. The introduction will likely need substantial modification by the time you have finished the rest of the papers. The same concern apply to conclusion, abstract, and summaries. You know, the conclusion and abstract also we write later because after finish experiment, result, discussion, everything, then if you go for writing abstract, it will be easier and it is a perfect way because what inside there already you know, then it will be very clear abstract and conclusion you can draw. So sometimes introduction also write later someone. But in my papers, actually like absorption and catalysis, I write before that because we know how we can introduce here. What is introduced here? But sometimes not so many people writing this field. Better to go for later whatever writing introduction. This component of paper are all that many people read, and you must get message across the directives and in teaching the manner as possible. So, because this part, especially the what you call the abstract, many people actually read. So this part should be very nicely introduced in the shortcut way, but should be very easiest way. Break up large subject into small pieces and work on the pieces. Writing and analysis for any given paper is often an iterative process. Writing the result section of paper is often the best way to discover the analysis and figures that will still need to be done. Because we make a piece by piece of the project to the easiest way. Then use word processor effectively and back up rigorously. This what everybody know. You know, we are using word processor. Then I suggest to make graph actually using the origin. So if you make Excel, also okay Excel, but when you make a graph from origin software, it will be very nice to see actually. Later I will show you some figure from the origin. It is simply looks nice, looks very good, standard. And you know the chemistry, especially chemistry and the related subject of the chemistry, we are drawing particular chemical structure from ChemDraw. So ChemDraw when you're writing, then I will give some tips also. There are many ways people make some wrong way actually. Okay, then last one is here. Take editorial comments seriously. It may be clear from editor's comment that they did not understand the point you are making. If so, this is a clear indication that you need to improve your writing. Also, an editor, no matter what they might be, has invested their time to help improve the quality of your writing. Respect their investment. This is the 15 tips I had actually, but more than 100 tips around the publication sector. I mean every publisher like Elsevier, like Willie Soames, they have some writer, they have a tips also there. So I just give you a bit tips or some information how to make improvement. Then I am going to actually important part here, how to write this paper actually. Now, last just tips actually. This part is important for this presentation, how we can write the journal paper and good quality paper. I mean, how make improvement. There is a introductory to slide. Then I am going to structure actually. You see the scientific paper. Everybody, I think we are agree. A well-written scientific paper explain the scientist motivation for doing an experiment, the experimental design and execution, and meaning of the results. Scientific papers are in the style that is clear and concise. This scientific paper actually, it should be very clear sentence, easy access sentence, and should be concise. Elaboration some make a boring actually. Their purpose is to perform an audience of other scientists about an important issue and particular approach they use to investigate that issue. So the scientific papers that a standard format is frequently used, information clearly and concisely. In fact, the number of papers you publish and their importance are reflection of your scientific achievements. Writing high quality scientific papers takes time, but it is time well invested. You know, if you well invested, because if paper no citation or paper not good quality actually does not improve actually your career, because people know good paper actually. From the paper to paper, people actually, there are some communication nowadays. Although they are not face to face any day, but by paper actually, good paper actually sometimes they make some communication. So I mean the good quality papers, if somebody like your papers, they will communicate you communicate others. Then by this way, there are community will develop, career will be developed. There are some information coming from, I mean the investment coming from the good quality papers, not a what you call easy paper. Easy paper actually nobody read or no citation will come. So this time, although this is a time consuming and hard job, but it makes something benefit from you for you, because this time is actually not lost. Actually, it is make some good thing, good career. Okay. Anyway, then there is a types of title that can be used for scientific papers. There are some tips here. Indicative, there are three types of title actually. We call indicative titles. Indicate the subject matter of a paper, but no indication of any result obtained or conclusion drawn. For example, the effectiveness of bed nets in controlling mosquito at different seasons of the years. There is another one, informative titles, give an indication of result achieved and conclusion drawn, as well as the subject matter of the papers. That means bed nets control mosquito most effectively when used in the rainy season. The question titles, this type of the title obviously asks a question. When are bed nets most effective when used to control mosquitoes? Actually, you can indicative one, you can be a informative question types. Actually, most of the paper we are writing actually informative titles. We want to give some result, indication, result, and conclusion. because we want to attract actually. There are some people they writing question type indicative, but normally we are using informative titles. Okay, then I give you this idea here, organizing your manuscript. You know, the manuscript when you go for writing, first we need to initially we need figure and tables, because our experimental result from our laboratory experiment results actually or field experimental result we uh, actually formatted as a figure and tables. Then first time we must actually write make a figure and tables. Before that, actually no point to make goes for writing. Once figure and tables is prepared and finished, then we have to write a methods, because figure and tables when created, it is from the methods and results. So then we go for writing methods. After methods writing finish, then we write a result. Then after result, we can make a discussion. Then we can make a conclusion. After that, we can write a introduction. At the last, we write a abstract. Then after abstract, we can make a title. Title, although you can write fast time, but you need to time to time actually change it. Then keywords for indexing we required actually. So far there is we cannot forget about acknowledgement, especially if you have a grant, must be acknowledged then. If somebody help you for testing, maybe you can make a acknowledgement. And at the last writing the references. After writing this way, step to initial writing, then final organization, I think everybody knows. Because the paper, if you see, the first time, the title, the abstract, keyword, introduction, experiment methods, result, then discussion, conclusion, acknowledgement, reference. And figure and tables, we can make it at the last after all writing, but sometimes many of the organizer now, I mean the publisher, they introduce a template. When introduce a template, then actually we do not put figure and tables outside of the text. We can embed it in the text. Particular place you choose in the result and discussion, that place you can embed it, the figure and table, if you have a template from actually publisher. Like elsewhere, there is no template. You can put the figure and tables at the last, but there are many publication places like RSC, Royal Society of Chemistry, even American Chemical Society, they have a template. So template means you can write a small font and according to final paper like that. So everything we can put inside. I mean the table and figure put in the text. But with no template, then we use like that way. I don't know graduation. I think this part is not important, but I want to go for how we make a what you call abstract introduction, make it good. Organizing your manuscript, finalize the result and discussion before writing the introduction. This is because if the discussion is insufficient, how can you objectively demonstrate the scientific significance of your work in the introduction? Note, if you are expert in your area, then you can proceed with introduction first. So, because the main concern our here, the structure not a matter, but everybody I think know, all the students have get some idea from the supervisor, but how we make a journal writing about the abstract, introduction, method, result, and discussion. This is the important actually. So this is the scientific paper, abstract. An abstract is a shortened version of the papers and should contain all information necessary for the reader to determine what the objective of the study were, how the study was done, what results are obtained, then and the significance of the result. There are 4 key points should be there: objective of the study and the how we can do study, that in methods, and what the result we can get, and after significance, few sentences. So because abstract are frequently made available to the scientists by various computer abstract service, this section should be written carefully and succinctly to have greatest impact in a few words as possible. Because we normally we can see in the internet, even though we have no option to download whole papers, but abstract actually we can see from their what we call contents. So for the reason abstract should be written very carefully. Although it appears at the first section in the paper, most scientists write the abstract section last. Write the abstract. A clear abstract will strongly influences whether or not your work is further considered. That means, initial screening or evaluation, they see abstract very clearly. If the abstract writing any wrong or any inconsistent or not very what you call the perfect or something problem, then the paper will be returned. That means not going for review. So you have no chance to review actually if we abstract have some problem. By this way, abstract should be very straightforwardly um, and what you call the standard way. However, the abstract must be kept as brief as possible. Most of the journal there normally have less than 250 words. Sometimes someone they asking 100 words also. That's not matter. In abstract, there are two what are essential, what has done, what has been done, what are the main findings must be contained here. If you don't have this objective also, but what you have done and what the findings, I mean the result must contain there. So standard abstract actually must more standard of the abstract. I just give you some for your tips actually. It is my paper, but there are some way how to make an improvement. Although this is the boring, actually reading boring, everybody I think, but there are some way we can make as a standard abstract. So if we standard abstract, sophisticated one, then you have to give a motivation first. In the motivation, it may be one sentence or two sentence. Then second should be problem is there. Then the statement what problem encountered, and the very what you call important part is the state of art. After the state of art, then you give the proposed solution. Well, how you done actually the experimental results. Then after that, finally, you have to write a validation and findings. So I actually, although this one is a boring, but I want to introduce you one by one for especially for a student to make a nice abstract, standard one for good papers. So I just simply read actually. You see the motivation here. Nowadays, sophisticated synthetic process is required due to the molecular complexity and number of chemical transformation is being increased in parallel fashion. This is the motivation because because I am a chemist actually I don't have any other example, but in the chemistry, the when synthetic process is increases, then complexity of also increase, the number of chemical transformation is being increased in parallel session, then uh, this thing actually is motivation language. The second one actually it is a problem. Since the incomplete reaction are most common behavior and difficult to purification, in each step is also reducing the overall efficiency of the synthetic process. Catalysts exhibit lower selectivity to organic synthesis. This is the problem actually because when you get a reactions, incomplete reaction, that second time coming a difficult of purification of the compound. You need to do some crystallization, what we call the purification in column chromatography to make a clean compound. I mean pure compound. Also, it is a problematic thing. So this is the problem actually. Then the state of art. Herein, development of the heterogeneous metal catalyst for reusability, safe, non-toxic, sustainable chemistry, and organic green organic synthesis become a particular interest. Because state of art, that means we have to see there are some catalyst, how it is reusable, safe, non-toxic, sustainable, also green organ synthesis. It is an interest actually. Then it is before the last part, we have a proposed solution methodology, how get the result. Then I get a result like that, efficient, regenerable, and environmentally friendly heterogeneous copper 2 nanocomplex were synthesized from a jute nanocellulose based polyamide silicon for almond esterification reactions. The nanocellulose-based copper-2 nanoparticles PAE is successfully used 5 to 10 mole ppm in almond esterification of phenos. There are few sentences I actually omit here. I mean, I do not make a large. There are few sentences what the result get. I think not many, about 2-3 sentences here. What the result here. Then finally, actually the findings and validation. So facile recovery of copper-2 nanocomplex from reaction vessel is observed, and the complex can be reused up to 7 times without any noticeable reduction in the respective metals. These are the findings. So there are few parts in the abstract actually. Abstract actually, if you write directly your result and findings, also it is abstract, but it is not a very standard format, because if you give some a motivation, problem, state or part, it will be a good abstract actually. Nice abstract to attract the review. Okay, then abstract I think is finished. I want to go for introduction part. The scientific paper introduction. Why is the study of scientific interest and what is your objective? This section discusses the result and conclusion of previously published study to help explain why the current study is of scientific interest. The introduction is organized to move from general information to specific information, limit the introduction to study that relate directly to the present study. Emphasize your specific contribution to the topics. The last sentence of introduction should be a statement of objective and a statement of hypothesis. This will be a good transition to the next section, methods, in which you will explain how you proceed to meet your objective and test your hypothesis. As long as you know this introduction, there are some part is here actually. Here actually a statement or problem statement, objectives. There are some people study and you refer their study, and there are some gap of the study, there are some criticize here, but criticize to others should be reasonable, should be in view of scientific, what we call the explanation. If you criticize some paper, should be scientific information should be there. So why it is some lack? After that, this lack actually you want to introduce your own result to improve the community new knowledge. Then at the last of the introduction, actually, the objective and statement of hypothesis should be there. What you've done actually. This one actually a transition between the methods and result actually explain. So the compelling introduction. This is your opportunity to convince reader that you clearly know how your work is useful. This actually we can convince the reader why this paper is very important, very essential, or what they call interesting. So because the other part like abstract and like your result discussion, not like that introducing this one. This one ourselves or yourself you have to introduce your work. How it is very essential and interesting study. A good introduction should answer the following question. What is the problem to be solved? Are there any existing solutions? What is the best? What is the main limitation? What do you hope to achieve? Actually, this part should be there in the introduction. Although introduction meaning other people work, but have to be discussed very wisely, their work and your work to combine what the new thing you have to find out, and what is the new result, and then you, by this way you have to convince. So editors like to see what you provided a perspective consistent with the nature of the journals. You need to introduce the main scientific publication on which work you're based, citing a couple of original and important works, including recent reviewed articles. However, editors hate improper citation of too many differences irrelevant to the work or inappropriate judgment on your own assessment. This will think you have to no sense of purpose. You know why I writing no sense of purpose here, because sometimes there's some paper, there are some citation, it is not relevant. If you not relevant, it is actually it is something boring and misconduct, because when you write their sentence and give a wrong citation, wrong people papers, that means you do not read this paper to make a comment actually. By this way, it is not a good thing. I have a last time actually from I think about 10 years ago, I have a one colleague in UMP when we working, we introduced a paper, chemistry and physics actually. Then the chemistry part is myself, and the physics part with him. He give a introduction. Introduction I also wrote this one, but some part he also wrote. There are some few sentences, not many sentences, few sentences he write and give a what you call reference. Actually, the reference is wrong. When paper we submit, when review, actually, unluckily, the paper goes to the reviewer. He seems to own, actually, when we write a wrong citation, his own paper, actually. Then he make a comment, the Prashad et al. Did not give this comment, this. This is the absolutely wrong references. Then actually, by this he said this authors actually they do not properly write the other people work. Actually, this comment actually is something, the complaining something is not a good thing actually if you write a wrong reference. Sometimes some people thinking all paper they do not write. In case maybe this paper we who are uh, reviewing his paper also we cite, but when you citation he know this what thing actually here, because his own paper he knows. But this says citation should be correct papers, not other people other thing irrelevant or some funny papers we have not introduced. Here, in additional tips for the introduction, never use more words than necessary. Long introduction put readers off. Do not forget that need to give the whole picture at the first. Introduction must be organized from the global to the particular point of view, guiding the readers to your objective while writing these papers. There are some additional also. State the purpose of paper and research strategy adopted to answer the question, but do not mix introduction with result, discussion, and conclusion. So sometimes when you write the papers, introduction and the what you call discussion is same. It should not be same thing. Cannot be mixed actually. Hypothesis and objective must be clearly remarked at the end of the introduction. Expressions such as novel, first time, first ever, and paradigm changing are not preferred. Use them sparingly. Actually, sometimes some people writing a novel one. It is novel work. It is actually not a correct tense. Actually, the correct word. There are novel means actually there are a broadly what you call expression. Something you do and you write a novel. Actually, it is not a good way. sometimes we write a new work, something like that way. But if you know the first time, meaning other people do not do, how you actually confirm? Maybe you have to use, I think the what you call the, we don't have the support here. We do not subscribe. We call Science Finder. Actually, SCS give you one platform we call Science Finder. Science Finder actually, when you give a one structure and search over the world, any papers they will give you a mess. This is the best one in the world, I think. I think so in the chemistry and physical science. I think biological science also. Science Finder is the best way to search messing because they are a big actually investment. They are also very expensive. Because sometimes if you have a American Chemical Society journal also, they do not give you Science Finder access if you do not pay separately. By this way, many people's actually many um, university also they don't have support. We don't have support, although American Chemical Society paper also we don't have. The Science Finder also so far away. There are some places they use the Science Finder a specific user, some limited user. Anyway, this is the good way to find out your work is messing to other people or not. We call Science Finder. Science Finder. Okay, then I want to go for now methods and materials. This section provides all the methodological details necessary for another scientist to duplicate your work. It should be a narrative of the step you took in your experiment study. Do not list of instruction. An important part of writing scientific paper is deciding what bits of information need to be given in details. Sometimes experimental details are given as supplementary part. If you have actually a larger part of these experimental details, you can make a shortened form in your manuscript. Then detail you can make in the supplementary information. Many papers actually, many journals, they are maintaining supplementary information. Then you can transfer them if it lasts very big actually. If your paper proposing a new methods, you need to include detailed information as knowledgeable reader can reproduce the experiment. If your method is new, then you have to write your experiment method in the manuscript. This one does not go supplementary information. However, do not repeat the details of established methods. Use reference and supporting material to indicate the previously published procedure. There are sometimes repeated actually methods. Let's say my thing absorption and catalysis. We have a similar procedure actually we adopt different papers. Then this type of methods we do not actually repeat. We must put in the supporting materials. Just send supporting materials and indicate in the experimental part this detailed information in supporting information. In this way, all chemicals must be identified. It is important to use a standard system for numbers and nomenclature. For example, the use convention of International Union of Pure Applied Chemistry, official recommendation of the IUPAC and IUB Combined Commission and Biochemical Nomenclature. Chemical name, usually we are using IUPAC. Then for species, maybe taxonomical nomenclature, OMS, World Register of Marine Species, ERMS, European Register of Marine, and write them analysis in italics. This actually this one I am not very expert on this biological part. Maybe other scientists knows what is the good one, what for species writing. For unit of measurements, this is the international system we are used. We call SI unit. Like milligram per liter. We do not use actually milligram per liter. What you call the international SI units. So List the method in the same order they appear in the result section, logic order in which you did. Because when you write the methods, the order you maintain according to when the result you introduce. Description of the laboratory methods, including separation of or treatment of samples, analytical methods, flowing order of water, sediment, and biomolecules. Actually, all separation methods, analytical methods, everything should be right clearly, and it comes from the laboratory in the methods. If we have worked with different biodiversity component from the start from the simplest to the more complex one, description of the statistical method used, including confidence level, etc. Then the scientific paper result. The section presents the result of the experiment but does not attempt to interpret their meaning. As with the method section, the trick to writing a good result section is knowing what information to include or exclude. You will not be present the raw data that you collected, but rather you summarize the data with text, tables, and figures. So use the text of the paper to state the result of your study, then refer the readers to tables, figures, where they can see the data for themselves. Nowadays, actually, most of the papers, we combine result and discussion together, not separate out. Anyway, when you write this result and discussion together also, but first we introduce our result, then according to result, we made discussion. Discussion means actually you have to explain with other work, other difference, it is a correct result you are achieved. Do not include the same data in both table and figure because sometimes someone actually data for table and figure is the same. It's not way. It is not a way. If you use the table, the same figure, same data we do not use for figure. So either anyone we have choose. It is the best to present the data in table unless there is a visual information that can be gained by using a figure. For example, figure is useful for reporting a regression analysis like a line graph. If your table includes the result of the statistical analysis, be sure to provide the information necessary for the reader properly evaluate the analysis. Here, actually, there are something I cannot make a lot of things here. You know, sometimes we cannot avoid table also. Let's say I have actually example here. Let's say there are some data we need to plot. From the plot, we need a slope and intercept value. That time actually we cannot avoid this figure. Although table is the good, but we cannot use table because figure used for some data obtained from figure. By this way, we must go for figure, not a table. But table is the easiest way to introduce. But table does not what you call the give a visual interpretation. Like here, additional tips on the result section: number, tables, figure separately, beginning with number 1. Do not attempt to evaluate the result in the section. Report only what you found. Whole discussion of the significance of the result of the discussion section. So you must refer in the text to each figure or table in your paper. We must be refer figure and table in the text. What we get from the table 1, table 2, or figure 1. Tables generally should report summary level data such as means plus minus standard deviation rather than all raw data. Only use a figure when the data lend themselves to good visual representation. Avoid using figures that show too many variables or trend at once. Write the result. This section responds to the question what you have found. Hence, only representative result from your research should be presented. The result should be essential for discussion. If you combine result and discussion, that compare your result and reported result from differences and logic should be established. Actually, you can combine the result and discussion together. No, there are many papers we write result and discussion together, not only result and discussion separately. Please do not attempt to hide data in the hope of reserving for later paper. You may lose evidence to reinforce your conclusion. If data are too abundant, you can use those supplementary materials. If you have a many result, many table, there are some table or some table and figure you can put in the supplementary materials. If you have a heavy, let's say figure more than 20, table more than 10, then you can there are someone you can send to supplementary materials. For data, decide and logical order that tells you a clear story, makes it and easy to understand. An important issue is that you must not include reference in this section. You are presenting your result, you cannot refer to the others. So if you refer to others because you are discussing your result and this must be included in the discussion section. I informed earlier slide result and section. You can combine discussion as result and discussion actually. You can combine them, no problem, but if you combine also the result you introduce first with the text and table and figures, then you can discuss with your result with other people's. So anyway, you can make separate, you can make together also. I give you some tips here. You see the prepare figure and tables here. You see they should be used a table or chart. How? You have a data, then you can decide the data you have to use visual representation or table. Include clear symbols and data set that are easy to distinguish. Never include long boring tables, chemical composition of emulsion system, list of species and abundances. You can include them as a supplementary materials. You see the down the figure are not eye chart, make them large enough to read. There are two figure I put in the down there. That one is not a eye chart, You need to enlarge, you need to bigger size, and it should be readable. I give you some information how we make a good readable actually. Here you see this one figure here. From my paper actually. It is from my paper actually. You see the table 1 and table 2. Actually, it is not same with the figure because it is a kinetic plot. From the kinetic plot, from the slope and intercept, we get some result actually. This is the QE and K1 from slope and intercept. For the reason this is not the same data from table and figure. Actually, from the figure we get this table actually, and second one also same thing from the figure, from the slope and intercept we get the table 2. So this is the two thing is different thing. So from the table we get some result we call absorption and kinetic order constant. Our experimental everybody knows experimental result we get them. So I introduce here the graph. I make from origin. This is the very sharp and nice picture appear if you use origin. So the table, this what you call the figure I made it. This is the smallest one. The what you call the x and y axis and legend is here, but do not make please less than that because then it will be very small and it is not clearly seen. I mean we call it is visual representation is not easy. This is not eye chart. If you make a very small, at least can read it. This copper, iron, plate, nickel, cobalt easily can read it. But you do not make a smaller than that. You can make a bigger than that also okay. But too bigger looks not nice. But at least a medium size font you have to use. So when you make this figure and table, please do not think I make a figure later when accept maybe I will produce a particular what you call the font I introduce. Not like that because when initial assessment they do from before the reviewer before sent to reviewer, when initial screening the deed, reviewing the deed, they can see the figure table how it looks like that. They read some part of your papers to evaluate it, whether going to review or not. For the reason, do not make the some figure you want to make later, not like that. Absolutely not like that. Figure must be a very good, and table must be a very good, nice order, and is very what you call the standard format. Don't go for letter format. Letter format means initially when they study, I mean when they review, they see figure is not good, font is problem, and then line is problem, then legend is problem, cannot see properly, then they reject the paper before go for review. For reason it should be final. It should be final. No more letter work. I experienced like that way. You have to make a finalize your what you call your figure and table and graph also. You see there are some what you call the this is the microscopic what you call the image from TEM. You see the right side the TEM like a flower like a rose flower, you know, it looks good, but there is no actually caption here. There is a when we study what is the magnification, the information cannot read it properly. So other one is don't have. We just cut and paste. Is not a good micrograph. It is not a good same or tame micrograph, not micrograph, but should be straightforward the information here. You see, this one we can read it is 10,000 times magnification. Then it is a machine name is Zoel. This is the date, time, everything is there. You know, it will be clear. Then what you call the reviewer and initial judgment will become in favor for you. If you put this like that, one initially screening people think it is something not a good standard method. Good, it has no standard figures. Although you have, but you introduce first time a not a appropriate one, meaning it is not a good way to convince them. Initial time also give a good perfect one. It's like that one. So let's say this what you call scheme when you draw, especially chemistry, biochemistry, biological people also they need to give some structure also. This structure when you draw must be what you call there are some rules have to follow, because when we draw the what you call the angle of line actually it should be perfect. You see this one, just I give introduction. You know, we write a amine group here and ketone group here, but if this bond angle, if you make a something is like that different, not a 90 degree, then they see your drone is not good. Then you have something funny structure is there. Although you can make, but should be correctly introduced. If any drawing is wrong, meaning paper quality is not good. I think this impression should be good impression. You know, if you make faulty one, although you make a good draw later, is does not make any sense. You make a good one later. Initially, you have to make a perfect one. All of the bond angle should be correct. You know, there's some bond, bond angle and not only bond angle also, bond length also should be perfect. Because you put this bond length is like that, another one should be similar. One is very long, one is short. Meaning is wrong drawing something. So for reasons you should be careful, make a standard format. So this is the discussion part. Scientific discussion is very important one. In this section, you are free to explain what the result, meaning, or why they differ from what you otherwise have found. You should interpret your result in the light of other published results. by adding additional information from sources. You cite it in the introduction section as they are introducing new sources. Make sure you provide accurate citation. This is the discussion. You discuss your result with other people's published work. You can introduce here, and you can introduce the something from your introduction section also. So you can looks like a uh, comparing your result, or sometimes only comparing also not good. You have to give some scientific evidence your work, your result is sound, and it is correct. Relate your discussion back to the objective and question you raised in the introduction, because when you write the introduction you have some objective and question there. This question actually you have to be successfully give a result here. However, do not simply restate the objectives. Just do not restate. You have to give a result and finalize your result actually. Limit your conclusion to other that your data can actually support. You can be proceed to speculate on why this occurred and whether you expected this occur based on other work findings. If your result is not similar with the others, but you have to give some explanation why you get some uh, this type of exceptional data, what the reason behind your experiment is. Does not mean you have to give a same result with others, not like that, but your result should be explained especially with the evidence. With the evidence you have to support. So here you must respond to other result mean. Probably, probably it is the easiest section to write, but the hardest section to get right. This is because it is the most important section of your articles. You need to make the discussion corresponding to the result. Do not uh, reiterate the result. Here, you need to compare the published result by your colleagues or someone with yours using some of the reference included in introduction. So there is some tips here. Never ignore work in disagreement with yours. In turn, you must confront it and convince the reader that you are corrected to or better. Take into account the following tips. Avoid statements that go beyond that what the result can support. So avoid unspecified expressions such as higher temperature at a lower rate, highly significant, not like that. Specific, you will use a keep. Quantitative description are always preferred, like 30 degrees centigrade, 0.5%, something like that. Avoid sudden introduction of new terms or ideas. To achieve good interpretation, think about how do these results relate to original question or objective outlined in the introduction sections. Do the data support your hypothesis? Are the results consistent with other investigators have reported? Discuss the weakness and discrepancies. If your results were expected, try to explain why. Is there another way to interpret your results? What further research you should necessary to answer the question raised by your result? Then this is the conclusion. This section shows how the work advances the field from represent state of knowledge. Whatever the case, whether a clear conclusion sections, reviewers and readers will find it difficult to judge your work and whether it merits publication in the journal. A common error in this section is repeating the abstract or just listing experimental results. You should provide a clear scientific justification for your work in these sections. Moreover, you can suggest future experiment and point other those are underway. There is some title. Actually, there some title. How can you make a title? Actually, this is the some informative and concise title is the good actually. This is technical jargon abbreviation. Actually, we just avoid. So how we attract the reader's attention? Title give as long as concise and easy to understand. This is because you need to attract a readership as large as possible. Example like that, preliminary observation on the effect of salinity on benthic community distribution with a estuarine system in the North Sea. So you can revise the title actually, effect of salinity on benthic distribution within the scarce estuary North Sea. Comment, long title distract readers, remove all redundant studies on vessel of the ETC, never use expression as previously precise. Original title, then the example here, fabrication of carbon, cadmium sulfide, coaxial nanofiber displaying optical and electrical properties via electric spreading carbon. Actually, title is very difficult to guess. When you revise this title, electric spanning of carbon, cadmium sulfide, coaxial nanofibers with optical and electrical properties. That will be fine. It is easy to convince the readers. Just title, I just give you some what you call example, just tip actually. Literature, actually scientific literature, actually I don't have any comment here because every journal they have a specific format of the citation. But only I give you comment here, this scientific when citation you write, you have to follow the recent paper, I mean the current paper, according to current paper standard, and when you make a list of citation should be consistent because there are some what you call they have some software actually now. So there is some software now. Easier is to avoid this problem because there are many available tools. There are some available tools here, especially the note. In note, you can write a specific how to make a specific journal standard. So, but this section when citation you write must be according to paper you are decided to submit. Does not give you this one you can make later revise stuff like that because this is the thing actually. Wrong information came to the initial evaluation. Initial evaluation actually they see the format also. That meaning this part also you need initial submission correctly. That means this literature citation actually every journal have different way to particular listed. I mean the format is different. So you just follow the paper actually. So indexing, so because keyword you have to supply for indexing. Although nowadays you can search the whole text, not so important, but still they are using keyword for indexing. Acknowledgement actually necessary. If you have especially you have a grant, you can think people who have contributed the manuscript, but not to extend where that would justify the authorship. For example, here you can include technical help and assistant with writing and proofreading. Probably the most important thing is thank your funding agency or the agency giving you a grant or fellowship. The English actually I am not native, so English I don't have any support to you, but you can go for Wikipedia. There is a link here. So how to write English, but should be correct as long as possible actually. Check before submission that you do because there is something you need to check before for submission. Number of text page, number of tables, read the title and headings. Each tables must be a correct one. So before submission, there are some. There are not some all thesis, all of the work. I mean, the whole of the paper need to recheck. It is a correct format have or not. So read actually need necessary. Indicate margin, explain your text, tables and present. Examine your reference list, make certain, examine each item in the bibliography section, prepare educate lesson for illustration. So indicate by marginal note, reconsider the appropriateness of your title, abstract, revise the special requirements of the journal, carefully read your final transcript at least twice, second time. So In case of online submission, prepare the files according to instruction. Keep your files to complete copy of your manuscript. Enclose copies of released material requiring release. So include all first phase of the type script. Note, nowadays tables figure are usually inserted in electronic manuscript at appropriate position with caption included referred to also instruction. Actually nowadays they give you a template. That means the table figures you can insert it in a manuscript actually nowadays. Many actually, but few are not. But most of them they have a now template. So you can insert in the text the table and figures. So at the last part here, actually letter to editors, but as long as you know how to write this one, but write very specific thing, not many other thing is included in your what you call cover letters. Should be specifically your what you intend to submit. Let's say the example here. Dear Professor, please find enclosed our manuscript, cluster formation and rheology of photoreactive nanoparticles. We studied the cluster information of photoreactive nanoparticles upon irradiation and effect of this process on the rheological behavior of the dilute colloidal dispersion. Since our work should be of interest to many readers of something, we have decided to submit our paper to your journal, hoping you find it acceptable for publication. Something right there are short description you give what you done here. So I have other comment also about the cover letters. There are some journal they want to write a elaborate cover letters, meaning what the significance of your work. Then you have to write a point form what the significance. Then you go to your result from your experimental result. What you get actually, what is your assignment? You have to write point to point many things you have to meet. But not all journal. There are some journal I see their cover letter they asking a lot of things. What your impact of the journal? What is the relation of the journal you want to publish your work? Why this one? So responding to the editorial at the last portion, if your paper goes to review, when what you call the uh, comment came acceptance without revision, meaning nothing to do until the proofs. Actually, very lower case getting like that acceptance without revision, not like that. They have some minor, many of minor at least they come, but it is very rare case. Minor revision requested, actually it is accepted. Consider the suggestion carefully and if you agree that will be improve the paper, modify, review the sentence section. Actually, this is called actually respond nowadays in online system. They call respond to the reviewers. When respond to the reviewers, their question you write and you answer step by step. Not like a paragraph, not like that. You have to give you, maybe you can write left side the question and right side your answer. If you do not comply their comments, then you can explain why you want to keep this sentence or keep this figure forward. So answer should be very what you call attentive of, not ignore someone, not like that. Major revision sometimes have actually, not sometimes, many cases we got major also. We have to think hard if the report with worthwhile. You may eventually decide that paper is better as it is and proceed to try another editors in hope that you will agree with you. Sometimes rejection also come, but rejection one, if the editor said it is outside the scope of the journal, then don't go again to submit. I mean, if rejection come from the outside the scope of the journal, that means absolutely don't submit again because it is outside the scope. No, there is no scope to what you call again further consideration. If you have something writing other thing, maybe then you can raise the appeal. But very few are getting positive if you rejection is come once. Very few cases actually. So I have a what you call the experience last year actually. You know, the once the rejection come, they want to uh, decide always the rejection because you know the history is like that. We present few papers on MDPI uh, conference. They asking a short paper for as a conference paper. They call it the proceeding, but they said the detailed paper. I mean the detailed information you can submit a special issue. In the way my student actually I also present one paper also. My student present one papers and he gave 5 pages short papers for proceeding. Then after when conference finish, then we submit the full paper about in the what you call the in the template about the 15 page something like that. But when the review, one of the reviewer he give a comment. He give a comment. This were most of the figure and data already published. I see in online. Why it is repeating? Why it is repeating result? So in that case, a repeating result is not a way of scientific writing. I want to reject because already have a result already there. But when writing this way, comment, this paper also rejected. Then I ask, why the paper you reject? Because this paper is displaying, I mean, the proceeding is displaying it with you, not other side with you, because you said last time, full paper you give later, but full paper now you want to reject. Why? Then the editors, the lady said, I am sorry. Actually, we want to keep all of these comment in our records. Once somebody, in case anyway rejection, usually we are not encouraged to publish this one. Although you are right, she said like that. You know how foolish. She said, although you are right, because this is not your fault. It is fault of the reviewer. But still, we want to reject this work. Please go to another journal in our site, something like that. Then I said, if you thinking like that, we don't publish with you with your other journal from your publisher. Then we publish this work in ACS journal actually. Anyway, the rejection once come, very hard to convince them again for submission or acceptance. Very hard actually. Until major revision is okay. Then actually I have some, some additional information. Some journal they asking highlight. There's some journal graphic. All of the paper actually now asking graphical abstract at the first time when submit. So actually then when you go for ending, I have some particular tips about your what paper you want to go submit. Actually, then every publisher have a finding a journal, appropriate journal. There is a option in the like Elsewhere, like Williamson's, like the ACS. Every publisher they have a option in the system. If they're writing like that, the suitable article finder. Suitable article finder. Then you give a title and give your abstract. They are matching your actually paper with which paper is suitable for you. Because this one also need, because the scope of the what you call the your papers. Because if scope is not what you call the matching, then it is wrong paper you have select. Although the paper is not very not so very high quality, you can publish, but scope is outside, then it is not good. For the reason I suggest you finding a appropriate journal, you find their publisher. Actually, it's a good way. Another tips is here. Actually, we don't have this support. Actually, we call Web of Science. In the Web of Science, we have a list actually. Let's say inorganic chemistry, organic chemistry, then analytical chemistry, then physical science. Separate actually subject wise, they have a list. Because when you search in the system, go in the system, they have like a chemistry have 5 or 6 branches. Physics have a 5, 6 branches. Biological is more than that. So then you can download all of the papers and the same actually journal, same uh, field. Let's say inorganic chemistry, let's say organic chemistry. Then when you got 150 papers from there, once you get a list, then according to paper journal name, I mean the journal name, you have a either Q1 or impact factor there is stated there. From the state impact factors, also you can make some judgment because your paper, you know what they contain. Then you want to intend to publish some papers, then you have to download the paper, recent paper, or at least 3 papers you have to download, and you have to read their instruction, read their standard. Then after read these 3 papers, then you decide this paper is suitable for your paper or not, because direct reading very effective. Direct reading is very effective because in the PDF file, when you download 3, 4 papers, when your keyword matching papers, then you understand your paper and their paper very 90%, 95%, or 80% similar standard or not. Then you can submit these papers, this journal actually. If you see this journal is very high quality, then you have to see the if affected there, Q1 there, from that you can show a second one. But I see the one of our student, I was a course supervisor. She do not talk with me. She submit a papers. Journal name is Advanced Materials. After that, they reject within one day. After reject, they suggest to some paper name also given there. She said, this paper, the people, they reject and they send back. Why? Then I said, why you do not understand? The advanced materials impact factor is 28. This paper, your paper does not go this impact factor 28. This is the, in the ranking, actually, advanced material is after science, after what you call the nature and science, after that the advanced material now. The second, third ranking paper, how you go for publish. So your paper, you give me, then I will choose the journal from Elsevier or RSC, SES, somewhere we can submit, then that will be correct. Then I give another journal name, she submit, and after that it is published actually. So submitting a particular journal also very important. I mean the selection also important. Then at the last, I give you a suggestion, do not hopeless, because usually we submit a good journals. Once the rejection, I mean the not rejection, usually not after review rejection, screening committee actually return back. They said not standard, they said it is not standard or outside scope. Then you have to find other paper, find other journal. Not only 1 time, 2 time, not like that. Sometimes more than 5 times also see searching other papers also, how it is make a good. If you luckily get a review, then if you get what you call the major revision, even though rejection also, it is good also because they have a good comment from them. Good comment from them how you make a improve your paper. Maybe later you can additional result, additional experiment you can add to improve papers. And Q1 paper, you know, I think everybody knows it. The Q1 paper, there are four type of paper surrounding according to Web of Science. The four types, Q1 to Q4. So based on the based on based on the specific area, there are four parts they are making, four parts. I mean the four particular selection. Q1 is the highest, Q2, Q3, and Q4. Q4 is the lowest one. It is 25%, 50%, 75%, and 100%. Up to 25% is the Q1 papers. So usually we try to find Q1 papers. If it is failed or reject something, then we go for Q2. But we are not what you call resist on the Q2. We are always looking at Q1 papers. At least we have to go for 25%. The what you call in the area of the papers, area of the journals. I think it is possible if you have a standard. Nowadays, you have a result. Should be experimental result should be up to date. I mean the instrumental technique must be included. Let's say I don't know actually biological and what you call the physical science, but in the chemistry, so we have some instrumental technique must included, like FTIR, like GCMS, like NMR, like EPISEN, like TEM, then XPS. There are some data, some experimental result must be there to prove the data is valid. Without actually there are specific instrumental technique. I mean the spectroscopic technique. Actually, it is very difficult to convince readers or reviewer. It is actually correct. So if you have the result, I think is not a problem. Writing after trying, we can get a Q1 paper, no problem at all. Q1 paper also can publish, no, not a problem. But all if you have a scientific valid data actually, Q1 also can publish. But problem is the going to ranking up to 5 or up to 10. Actually, if your area, let's say in organic chemistry, 150 paper journals, so up to 5 or 10 in the top 10 going is very hard because their effective is more than 20 that side. But Q1 actually, I think not a problem because if you have 150 journal, you have a choose that you have a 70 from 1 to 37. 1 to 37 number is in the ranking Q1. So 1 to 37, then you can easily adapt in the 30%. I mean 30, 35, 34, or 25. It is possible. But ranking in top 10 is very hard. I mean 10% is very hard job. But Q1 paper is not so very difficult. It can publish it actually, but need some experimental evidence and good writing, good formatting. That's our idea actually. There are some wavelength here. I think now I can offer the question and comment.
Okay, Prof.
Hello, you here?
Is it all?
Yeah, I finished actually. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof. Thank you again, Prof, for the informative talk. I think
yes.
You gave us more than 6 tips, not 10. I think 15 tips to be exact. Right? To sum up, some of them.
Because
maybe
tips is many. 6 is not. Yeah. 6 is not enough. Many tips.
yeah. Some of them. Let me recap, Prof. Some of them is that you need to know your audience, right, before you write, and then don't give up. Means do not turn in your first draft. Okay, don't give up when you are rejected in the first draft, and then of course don't use abusing words, and then please don't overuse words. Okay. What else? Use an outline to organize your ideas in writing. Yeah. Structurize your paragraph, right? And then pay attention to tenses. Of course, go to proofreader, or if you can't pay for some maybe Grammarly or Quilt. We have them today. Captions, okay, write them properly. Also, when you're citing the reference, need to focus on the idea, not the authors themselves. I think I'm interested in point 12, which is introduction and conclusions are the hardest part. Yes, I think most of us agree here. If you start with doing your abstracts or an introduction, you won't go anywhere. Always start maybe from materials, right, Prof? Materials, go to the discussion and then go backwards. That's my opinion. And then last one, take editorial comments seriously. Of course, yeah. If I might add, not just go seriously, but don't take it in a negative way, and always go for the positive route here. And then you also, Prof, talk about the examples for each sections from the introduction all the way to maybe the references, the indexing, maybe the keywords, and also in the last section of your talk, you also gave some suggestions, right, Prof? So thank you very much for the talk, for the sharing session. I think now we go straight to the question and answer session. I would like to open the questions to everyone, either by speaking up through your microphone or typing on the chat area. Unfortunately, we can only take questions from Google Meet session. I think we have almost 100 participants here. So I think it should be enough to continue and keep this session, maybe this Q&A section active for a while. Maybe you can introduce yourself and your organization before asking the question. For now, maybe we take 5 questions, probably. So I open for the questions. Any questions, please, from the participants? Anyone?
Good morning, Prof. Can I
Yes,
ask a question? Okay.
Morning.
One part I think needs a little bit covering is the grant funding body, you know, the sponsorship
Yes.
for the manuscript. So over the years, previously I would see that each of the articles published in the journal, they have one funding body, one grant only stated at the acknowledgement section. But towards the later trend, the nowadays trend, we have more than one. So
yes.
how does this how does this funding body can many funding body can consider or accept that this paper published belongs to my contribution, you know, like that? Do you understand my question?
Yeah, actually it is important thing. Actually grant actually there's happened like that. There are some joint work, you know, some joint work is involved. Let's say I have one collaborator in Ireland. Actually he did some part, you know, my work did some part, so he has a grant that place. Actually this grant actually contribute this part. Then obviously there are 2 grant is acknowledged, cannot be one grant, because I did maybe 80% work is here, other 20% he did their experimental work also. Then these grant use their grant also. So they are actually come inside to acknowledge this. It is actually logical. It's not a problem.
I see.
This
Okay.
is coming from sharing work. If you work with other people, let's say some other university, they use the grant for your work, they contribute, then joint grant is come. But usually the same institute, a joint grant is not coming actually. Let's say another way is coming, you know, my student, he got 8,000 ringgit, what we call our student UMS grade. He used UMS grade grant to work in his masters. After that, my grant from FRGS grant also used for some chemicals also. Meaning his grant is 8,000 ringgit. It is very insufficient for finish his masters. Then my grant also used 20,000 ringgit for chemicals, some others, some what they call analytical result, professional result. Then these 2 grants is coming, no problem, because both grant is used for this purpose, and also similar objective, similar grant. my what you call the FRGS, let's say example, it is a catalysis, heterogeneous catalysis. He also submits similar project, little bit different. So they are coming together is not a problem.
I see.
It becoming joint.
I see. Thank you, bro.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Colin. Maybe this question is not actually a question; it's a request from Nadira. Maybe Dr. Nadira from FKJ. Is it possible that the slides recorded presentation be shared to the audience later? Is it possible, Prof, for the presentation slides to be shared later on? Maybe with the AJK
Yes.
to me, or maybe I can email to them.
Yes.
Is it possible?
No problem.
Okay,
yes,
so
yes.
anyone who requests the slides, maybe you can fill up the attendance and then leave your email there, and the Universiti or the AJK will reach you out with the slides, of course. And I open to the maybe third questions. Anyone?
Sorry, Dr. Hafiz, got IDP points ka?
Yeah, this is what I was told. Yeah, ada. I was told, yeah, ada.
All right, thank you.
So any third question you can shoot out in the message, write it out in the message, or you can ask.
Actually, I just sharing the what they call my experience. There are many things happen actually when you go for publish. There are something is coming when publishing. There are some unexpected thing, but this one also some experience how to handle the thing actually. Sometimes also absolutely cannot, but sometimes can. Sometimes can to handle actually.
Okay, if there's none, maybe I can
Sometimes,
ask one simple question.
Experience. When we submit the papers, there are some journal they send to review. They send to review these papers. Sometimes you see the wrong comment will come because if you send paper, there are some reviewer they give to their student to review it. When it goes to student to review it, then unexpected result, unexpected comment will come. That is not very what you call strongly support your work. Some unexpected thing. Then we understand this question is actually funny, but have to answer politely, because you cannot say not attacking like that. He said, so far I understand this is the thing we did, but this is the answer this way we can convince. There are sometimes happen like that. Some student also commented, but we don't know. The name is from professor, actually, editors or something, but some unexpected comment will come. But we can manage it. It's not a problem.
Okay, Prof. Thank you. So maybe any students, not just the lecturers, or any experienced researcher students also?
I open to student. If anybody, our faculty need to help writing, I can help them. It's not a problem. You ask them to communicate with me if need any help.
Okay, Prof. Thank you very much. And maybe one simple question, if maybe for the students is writing their thesis or writing their first paper. What do you think about this figure and tables? Should we draw or sketch them in black and white or color? So maybe if you write
black
in black and white,
color,
maybe
it doesn't matter actually. Black and white and color doesn't matter. No problem. Any form you can give, but the table actually should be clear to understand, easily to understand, can be reflect your result actually. This is the most important. Color and white doesn't matter. Black doesn't matter.
Okay, Prof. Because I remember last time when I wrote my master thesis, everything was in black and color, but my supervisor at that time told me that it should be in black and white because you don't know when they print out the thesis, either it's gonna be in white, black and white, or
actually
color.
nowadays,
Nowadays,
almost yes, I understand. Nowadays almost are online. Now color one can go on.
Yeah, that's why. Different generation, yeah.
Almost, yes.
Yeah. Okay, I think if there's none, Is there no question? I think
Yeah.
you can, don't forget to fill up the attendance so that we can reach you out there. I think we can close the session, yeah, right, Prof? So to close the session, again, I would like to thank Prof. Lutfor for the experience shared with us, and to all the participants for the time spent as well. And I hope that we can meet again next time, either online or hopefully face-to-face lah, yeah, Prof. So be safe out there.
Yeah.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi. Good day, and then always, as usual, always stay safe. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. Thank you, Dr. Hafiz.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Everybody will watch my presentation. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Prof.
Okay. Yes. You need my
So I'll stop
presentation
the
slide? You need?
Yeah. Just maybe email it to me later.
Okay.
Or I'll
I'll
reach you in WhatsApp. Yeah. Okay. So I'll stop the recording.
Okay. No problem. You stop.